Okay, we are recording and we are live on YouTube. Ready when you are.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the school board meeting, finance committee meeting. It is 5:33, and it's good to see all of you on board. We're going to start with the call to order. We're calling this to the order, and we want to find out if we have enough quorum. Can we have the clerk confirm that?
Yes,
Please.
I'd be happy to. Mr. Abiyemi,
Present.
Dr. Goldberg,
Present.
Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens is not present. Mr. Mahingabo,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Mahingabo, welcome to the Finance Committee meeting, and we're so happy to have you with us. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll move to item number 2, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion for that?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Liz Gobert. We have a second.
Sorry, real quick, Mr. Abiyemi, is it possible if we could please ask that number 7 be moved first in the report on contracts?
That is correct. Thank you so much for making that amendment. So we are going to make a little bit of an adjustment on our agenda by moving item number 7 to be in place of item number 5, correct? So do we have a motion to do that as amended?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Liz Gobert. Do we have a second? I think we're 3 of us. So Mr. Mahingabo, can you second that?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposition, any abstention? The ayes carry. We move on to the consent agenda, items 3 and number 4. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Liz Gobert. We need a second.
A
Mr.
second.
Mahingabo, do you second that?
Yeah, second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carry. So we have a few contracts tonight to go through. Like we just amended, we're gonna go with item number 7. Do we have somebody to present that in the house?
I'm gonna go first. Hi, guys. So I can talk about this one.
Go ahead.
This is a grant that is part of a Classroom Boost. And there are a series of librarians, 5 of them, that got together and came up with, under round 1 of the Boost grants, something called PPSD Reads, where they purchased a variety of materials and books that can be shared and read throughout the community. So what's nice is it's actually crosses schools to make a community. One thing that we did not fund, because we wanted more information during round 1 of the grant, was the fact that they wanted to bring in this particular speaker. They've got more details on this particular speaker. So Poet X is Elizabeth Acevedo. And this is the second piece of this same grant, where they are asking that we bring this person in, that they do a workshop with the group for PPSD Reads and does a book signing. So that's what this is about. And she'll be here in March. So what's really nice about this, and I know that Mr. Mahingabo, I know you're new to this, but what we started last year was these smaller grants specifically for teachers to be able to say, this is what I need. And we asked that each of these be connected to our turnaround action plan, and that so that they can, they're aligned aligned to what we're all trying to do. The sign off behind this is that the folks who are experts, whether it's in curriculum or other pieces, sometimes we have somebody with special ed, sometimes it's facilities. They all sign out and review. These all get scored. So this has already been, like, we scored this, we approved it. It's just because of the amount of money that we are bringing the contract to you. Because it's over
Thank you so
$5,000.
much.
Okay, so
Thank you so much, Laura. Do we have any question for this on this request? 7,200 is the amount.
Yes.
and these guys are here, so you can say hi. Come on. Say hi.
Hi, two of the
Hi.
librarians are here.
They're very
Thanks.
excited. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I just have a quick question. This is in English and Spanish, right? Correct?
We have books, the books that we bought, we got Spanish copies and English copies. The speaker is the author, she's Dominican American. And so I don't know how much of her talk she'll do in Spanish, but she may do some of her talk in Spanish. And the question and answer she can handle in Spanish for sure.
Okay,
All right.
it's good. Do we have any other question from the members of the committee?
No questions. This looks like a fantastic opportunity for our kids. Thank you for submitting a grant for this.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, do we have a motion to present this to the full approval of the school board?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Liz Gilbert. Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carried. Thank you so much, the librarians. Congratulations. We look forward to getting some wonderful results. So we'll move on to the next item. This is CCS. Can you, okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be presenting on these, on the next two, actually.
Okay.
Molly Hannon, I'm the Director of Purchasing for the district. I'm going to start just by giving a little bit of an overview about the ERate program for those who might not be familiar with it. So the ERate program is administered by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. And really the purpose of the program is to make telecommunications and information services more affordable for schools and libraries. They do that by basically subsidizing some of those projects and some of those services by offering discounts. Those discounts are based on the poverty level of the district participating in the program. So both of the contracts here tonight that are being awarded to Custom Computer Specialists, which is CCS, are part of the ERate program. The ERate program has been around for 25 years, and Providence Public Schools has participated for all 25 of those years. Both of these contracts are overseen by Peter Santos and Brian Wilson in our technology department. Our discount rate for both basic maintenance and internal connections, which are two of the categories that we're looking at tonight, is 85%. So what that means is the district contributes 15%, and then the FCC covers the remaining 85%. So for both of these contracts, the amount that you're seeing, the $550,000, and then the other one, which is about $1,378,000, that is the 100% total. The district would pay just 15% of that. So I can't do that math off the top of my head. I think Peter put it in his summary. So that's kind of the overview of ERate and these two contracts more broadly. I'm happy to take questions about that or talk about a little bit more detail about the two specifically. So I can start with basic maintenance or kind of take questions about ERate.
Thank you so much, Molly. Do we have a question for Ms. Molly? Dr. Goldberg?
This is not a renewal. It's a new contract, but we've presumably worked with this group before, correct?
That's correct. I believe that the FCC requires that we rebid this every single year. So it is we issued a new solicitation for the two categories, had to do a new bidding process, but we have worked with custom computer specialists in the past.
And the experience has been good overall.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. No more questions.
Thanks, Dr. Goldberg. Ms. Mayan Gerber, do you have a question?
No question.
All right, yeah, so I don't have much question. It's just that I have a little bit concern of taking the two contracts at once. If we think it is the same thing, why don't we just merge it and present it as one? I would have preferred for us to look at each of the contracts one after the other, so that if we have a question on that one, I know it's probably the same thing, unless you want to tell me there's a difference between the two contracts. If they are the same thing, why are we not merging it into one? Because it looks like we're switching between contract and the other one. So can you please expatiate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's done separately because we do actually enter into two separate contracts with the vendor for these two different scopes of work, because it could theoretically have been two different vendors awarded these contracts. It just so happens that we are awarding both the custom computer specialists. So I'm happy. I'll talk about basic maintenance first. So this first one for basic maintenance is $550,000. Again, that's the full 100%. So we'll pay 15% of that. Basic maintenance is kind of exactly what it sounds like. So it includes technical support. We have folks who are here in the building every day through this contract. They are custom computer specialists employees, but they are supporting us. And so it is maintenance of our network infrastructure is this first one for $550,000.
Thank you so much. So if there's no question on the first one, do we have a motion to approve as presented?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Gerber. Do I have a second? Mr. Mahinga, are you seconding this?
Yes, a second.
Okay. Is there any, in the absence of any other questions, if you're in support, can you say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Maingabo?
Aye.
Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you. Can we move to the second one now, which we're already told that is the same scope of duty, or you want to have some explanation on that? And
just a little bit of explanation on this one. So the first one was basic maintenance of internal connections. This is actually internal connections. So this would be doing projects in schools. That's also why the dollar value is a good bit higher. So it's about 1.3, 1.4 million. Again, our portion's just that 15%. So this is where we stretch my knowledge about technology a little bit, but it's actually making replacements and improvements to existing network infrastructure rather than just maintenance.
Okay. So this would typically involve, like, if they have to purchase new technology or new equipment or stuff like that, as opposed to the first one, which was just maintenance, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Is there any question from the members?
No questions.
No question.
Thank you. In the absence of any other question, do we have a motion to approve this as presented?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Goldberg. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Maingabo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you so much, Ms. Marley. Let's move on to the next one. This is Rhode Island Storytellers contract, correct?
So this is actually part of two different boost grants. One of the schools is for Pleasant View Elementary, and the other one is for Webster. Pleasant View has a more extensive schedule with these folks. But basically, it is using storytelling to connect to classroom lessons and to sort of build cultural awareness for folks. So I know at Pleasant View, they've actually tied some of the stories that the Rhode Island Black storytellers are giving to the science curriculum. And I believe Webster is also, that they have one visit. There are 12 for Pleasant View. And the one visit for Webster, I think, is also tied to whatever curriculum is going on at that point. So one of the highlights in our boost applications, we asked about honoring culture and diversity as a piece of the different opportunities that we were going to fund with grants. And so this is exciting for us that we're seeing the Black storytellers coming.
Thank you. Is there any question from the members of the committee?
I'm just curious, it says at the end here, separate from this contract, Rhode Island Black storytellers will also provide a PD on storytelling for teachers. So I'm just curious, are they the teachers learning how to do better storytelling, or are they learning about something unique about Rhode Island Black storytellers? Or
I think they're simply going to walk them through their process of what it's like to deliver storytelling, you know, the techniques involved and the value of how you can connect that to your curriculum. I don't know if you've ever seen Valerie Tutson, who is one of the people who has done some of this work. She's just, I went to school with her, so, but she's just so fabulous, and she just captivates you, and you can hear a pin drop when she talks. And I think that the skills that go into being performing a storyteller are not that dissimilar to a lot of the skills that go into teaching. So I think bringing those two together, I think actually we might see some nice cross-pollination. So I'm excited about it.
yeah, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I like that they are fitting it in with the curriculum in some cases too.
Yeah.
Thanks for presenting.
Thank you. Mr. Mohinga, but do you have any question?
No question.
All right. Do we have a motion to move this for approval of the full board?
Motion.
So move Dr. Goldberg,
A second.
second by Mr. Mohingabo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions, any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next contract. And that is so tiny. There's a contract amendment from Catapult. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. This one's going to be me as well. I also noticed the amount is blank. So Rachel, we'll get you an updated version on this.
Yeah,
But we are amending our existing contract with Catapult Learning. The contract currently is $800,000. With this request, we're looking to add $446,619.37. So we will get an updated version to Rachel. So that's good to go for next week. Catapult Learning serves as a kind of contracted agency for non-public and private schools doing tutoring services, professional development, and some coaching and after-school programming. So all of these funds, the full kind of 1.2 million, supports these services being conducted in our non-public and private schools, for whom we are the fiscal agent for their Title I, Title II, Title IV-A, and ESSER funds. So those funds are allocated to those schools based on their eligible Providence resident students, and we do manage those funds. So on page 3, it starts to break down the participating schools that are included in this amendment, the services, their funding source, and the total amount that gets us to that $446,000 amendment. So I'm happy to take any questions about this contract.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Marley? Dr. Gilbert,
No questions.
Mr. Mahingabo?
No question.
All right, I have no question also. So do we have a motion to move this to the full school board?
Motion.
A second.
So moved by Dr. Gilbert, second by Mr. Mahingabo. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you. The next contract is Medify air filter.
This one's me as well. Who's sick of hearing from me?
Okay, all right.
So this is a familiar one. For those of you who've been on the board for a while now, we are looking to purchase additional filters for these white air filter units that are being deployed throughout the district. We are again making this purchase directly from the manufacturer. It continues to be the most cost-effective option. I'm also really pleased to say that they've held the price flat at $112 for each pair of filters since we started buying them, which is great. So this purchase is for $199,275 to buy another full set of replacement filters for the about 1,600 units that are currently deployed district-wide.
Any questions?
Molly, in a related question, have we needed to replace any actual air purifier devices, or have they mostly held up?
That's a good question. We bought kind of another 150 to deploy, I think when we made a request back in September, but I would have to ask Jason Menard that question.
I know, sorry, Zach, I know anecdotally we've had to replace some, but in most cases they've held up.
Right.
Great. I have no other questions.
Mr. Mahingabo, any question?
No question.
All right, the only question I have is that this 1,650 is going to cover all the schools.
That's correct. Yes. So that's how many we have out in the schools and district buildings right now. So it's another full set of replacements for every unit.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have a motion to present this to the full board?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Goldberg,
Second.
second by Mr. Mahingabo. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carry. We're going to move to the next contract. And that is the energy efficient investment. Is it Molly presenting this one too?
It is Molly presenting.
Go ahead.
I'm really excited about this one. I think that some of you will be too. So this is for
Right.
the purchase and installation of water filling stations at 23 schools throughout the district. There's a breakdown of how many are going into each of those 23 schools. It's 168 filling stations. The total amount of the contract purchase and installation is $1,507,325. The vendor who will be doing this work for us is Energy Efficient Investments, doing business as ENE Systems. I'm happy to take any questions about it.
Congratulations, Dr. Goldberg. Here you go.
No, congratulations go to Molly and Mr. Scott and everyone that made this possible in such a short time frame. I'm really happy to see this happen for the kids, that we're going to be providing a sustainable source of clean water that's filtered in the schools. I think it's going to be very much appreciated.
Oh,
I know I appreciate it.
Is it gonna be in every school?
Not yet. So it's just the 23 schools that are listed here. It's a mix of elementary, middle, and high. So just starting with 23, which I think is a pretty good number.
Yeah, and
And then
I can chime in a little bit on how some, which schools were prioritized. There are some schools that are having significant capital work done. So Pleasant View, Costco schools that are having full renovations. And so that work will either come as part of that capital plan or shortly thereafter. But we didn't want to do a bunch of installs and then have them ripped out in the next year or so. So there were, I have the breakdown, but there were some of them that were already in the capital plan. There are some schools that already have them. So, we have 30, 38, 39 facilities. So this covers most except those with either that are already installed or that are having significant capital plan work.
Great.
And Zach, we'll make sure that the principals know that they're going to be on deck for having water fillers once their renovation's been made. I just don't want the message to go out that, only select schools were
We can do that.
allowed to have access to these.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Also, do we have an estimate of the time that we will be looking at covering all the schools? Do we have any projections into that, or we don't have a timeline?
I don't think yet. I mean, we put this as trying to prioritize as much as we can do before the start of next school year, but we can get exact. I don't know if that's going to cover all of them by that time, but a portion we hope to be done by the end of this school year, with the remainder done throughout next fiscal year.
All right. That sounds promising. Any other question?
Oh, I was just curious, with the source of funding, why this isn't coming from ESSER funds?
I thought it was actually this is revolving fund. Yeah. So this is part of our nice revolving fund, that $8 million. We've shared with this before, but this is the fund that once you do this work, we get reimbursement from the state at 90 cents on the dollar to go back into facilities. So frankly, anything that we can put onto that, we will, because it comes back versus ESSER being one time. But you're right. Originally, we had thought about doing this as ESSER, and then we found it to be reimbursable. So it's included in the revolving fund.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? In the absence of any other question, can we have a motion to recommend this for approval on the school board?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Goldberg,
A second.
second by Mr. Mahingabo. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposition, any abstentions, the ayes carry. Congratulations to everyone who made this happen. This is very impressive in this short period of time. We hope to be able to get a better result for it. And we're going to move to the last contract, the district managing group contract. Who's presenting this?
No, just kidding, not Molly. I'll present this one.
Okay, thank God.
Sorry. Wanted to lay it on her. Thank you so much. And I think I realize you'll see there's a project plan that the dates I needed to correct. So I've sent one to just right before the meeting to Ms. Palumbo. So we'll get the board a revised one, but it just changed some of the dates that were in there. But taking a step back, looking for recommended approval on a contract for the district management group from March 2022 to December of 2023 to support the design and implementation of a student-based budgeting model for Providence Public Schools at a cost of $975,000. So part of our goals, as outlined in the turnaround action plan that was developed through our engagement with the community, identified obviously a number of areas of improvement for the district. But when it came to budgeting, two areas that stood out. One was having better differentiation of funding based on student needs, and one was on increased transparency for schools and school communities. Our current model and how we allocate funds to schools uses a variety of mechanisms to allocate funds to schools, whether it's through kind of historical staffing. There's some adjustments based on enrollment, but it is not necessarily as dynamic or responsive to changes either in overall enrollment or in the specific needs of a school. So if a school were to see a large increase in students on IEPs or students with multilingual learners, while there would be some adjustments to the funding to that school, it doesn't fully reflect all the needs of those students that are in that building. Student-based budgeting is a system that is employed by many districts in a way that supports equity, transparency, predictability, and school empowerment and using funds to best meet the needs of their students. So this specific contract was awarded through a competitive bidding process of a master state competitive purchasing cooperative, and DMG was selected as the bidder. So as you'll see in the project plan, it outlines work that would begin now with a lot of kind of model design and refinement coming through the fall before more implementation of this next budgeting cycle, which would commence in the fall of next year and running through the early spring of 2023 with some follow-on support with communications and otherwise. So I'm happy to go in more detail. I think kind of to close, what I'd share is this is a type of change that I think is highly aligned to the ESSER dollars that are coming in. It's about making a one-time investment that allows us to make a significant change that sets the district up for long-term success. So it allows us to, it takes a lot of training of principals, of getting our systems internally right to do this work well. But once it gets up and running, I do think it's going to help us better align our budgets to when student needs change or when enrollment changes at our school. And so we feel like it's one of the kind of necessary fundamental investments to make to support and set the district up for long-term success. So happy to talk through in more detail about the kind of concept behind student-based budgeting, as well as the kind of work outlined here specifically.
Thank you so much, Zach. Questions? Dr. Goldberg, do you have any question?
So we're paying a consultant to help us implement this. They're not offering any kind of software or support other than kind of helping us develop the formula with stakeholder input and doing implementation.
Yeah, so a couple of areas where they're providing expertise and support. A lot of this is having rolled this out in a number of districts across the country. They're able to leverage kind of the templates, tools, and systems that they've done in other places that they can present to us. It is not a software, but it is a process and a system for doing this. A big chunk of this work too involves close training of staff, particularly principals, and a lot of hands-on support as they're building their budgets next year. So we in our budget team will have that training that we will need to get, but given the amount of kind of support that's needed to do this and roll this out well, it will require a lot of training and support from principals that I think would be hard to do in the first year of implementation while our team is getting up to speed as well. So a lot of the kind of, I think of the benefits here are the expertise they have and past experience, but also in the on-the-ground support that they can provide in training principals.
Thank you. Another questions?
Mr. Moingabo, you have any question?
No question.
All right. This is wonderful. This is exciting, and we hope to be able to get through this. I know I've had some conversation with Zach on this and the other members of the Finance Committee. My question is, all those deliverables on those monthly deliverables, are you going to be giving those updates? So we're going to be having this item on those monthly basis because we would like to have that information. So my request or my question is that those months that you highlighted down, so we hope to be getting some updates on each of them as you go along. Is that correct?
Yes, we can give regular updates on the progress here.
That will be very important so that we know where we are with them and if what's the progress we're making on them or otherwise, so that we will be able to know when it's time for us to take the decision, because this is very important. Is a shift in what we used to do to another one that we think is going to be a better system. So I think it will be important for us to have constant updates, and so that we can, make the best decisions for our students. But thank you so much for this initiative. We hope to continue to work monthly on this as we go along. All right, is there any other question? In the absence of any other question, do we have a motion to recommend this for approval of the full school board meeting next week?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Goldberg,
Oh, second.
seconded by Mr. Mahingabo. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you so much. And I think that ends, that's the last of the contract. Do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
So moved by Dr. Goldberg. Do we have a second, Mr. Mahingabo?
Yeah, a second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition, any abstentions, the ayes carry. Thank you so much for this meeting this evening. So we hope to see you some other time. Thanks, Marley, today.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, take care.
Thanks so
Bye
much for
now.
joining,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Arbiemi.
everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
For joining us, Mr. Mahingabo.
Bye.
Bye, Liz. Dr. Goldberg, I should say.
That's right.